Hello everyone, I am Aishi Datta from iExpo. The topic which we are going to learn today is leaf. Leaf in botany, any usually flattened green outgrowth from the stem of a vascular plant. As the primary site of photosynthesis, leaves manufacture food for plants, which in turn ultimately nourish and sustain all land animals. Botanically, leaves are an integral part of the stem system. They are attached by a continuous vascular system to the rest of the plant so that free exchange of nutrients, water, and end product of photosynthesis, which is carbohydrates and oxygen in particular, can be carried to its various parts. Leaves are initiated in the apical bud growing tip of a stem, along with the tissues of the stem itself. Certain organs that are superficially very different from the usual green leaf are formed in the same manner and are actually modified leaves. Among these are the sharp spines of cacti, the needles of pines and other conifers, and the scales of an asparagus stalk or a lily bulb. Leaf function. The main function of a leaf is to produce food for the plant by photosynthesis. Chlorophyll, the substances that gives plant their characteristic green color, absorbs light energy. The internal structure of the leaf is protected by a leaf epidermis, which is continuous with the stem epidermis. The central leaf or mesophyll consists of small, soft-walled, unspecialized cell of the type known as parenchyma. As much as one-fifth of the mesophyll is composed of chlorophyll-containing chloroplast, which absorb sunlight and in conjunction with certain enzymes use the radiant energy in decomposing water into its elements hydrogen and oxygen. The oxygen liberated from green leaves replaces the oxygen removed from the atmosphere by plant and animals' respiration and by combustion. The hydrogen obtaining from water is combined with carbon dioxide in the enzymatic process of photosynthesis to form the sugar that are the basis of both plant and animal life. Oxygen is passed into the atmosphere through stomata, pores in the leaf surface. Leaf morphology. Typically, a leaf consists of a broad expanded blade, the lamina, attached to the plant stem by a stalk-like petiole. In angiosperms, leaves commonly have a pair of structure known as stipules, which are located on each side of the leaf base and may resemble scales, spines, gland, or leaf-like structures. Leaves are, however, quite diverse in size, shape, and various other characteristics, including the nature of blade margin and the type of venation. When only a single blade is inserted directly on the petiole, the leaf is called simple. The margins of simple leaves may be entire and smooth, or they may be lobed in various ways. The coarse teeth of dentated margin protect at right angle, while those of serrated margin point toward the leaf apex. Crenulate margins have round teeth or scalloped margins. Leaf margins, simple leaves may have margins of leaf blade. Lamina is intended equally deep along each side of midrib, and in palmated lobed margins the lamina is intended along several major veins. A great variety of base and apex shape are found. The leaf may also be reduced to a spine or scale. Veins which support the lamina and transport materials to and from the leaf tissues radiate through the lamina from the petiole. The type of venation are characteristic of different kinds of plants. For example, dicotyledons such as poplar and lettuce have net-like venation and usually free vein ending. Monocotyledons like lilies and bamboo have parallel venation and rarely free vein endings. Leaf modifications. Whole leaf or part of leaves are often modified for specific special functions such as for climbing and substrate attachment, storage protection against predation or climate conditions, or trapping and digesting insect prey. In temperate leaves are simply protective bud scale. In the spring when shoot grow it is resumed, They often exhibit complete growth series from bud scale to fully developed leaves. Spines are also modified leaves. In cacti, spines are wholly transferred leaves that protect the plant from herbivores, radiate heat from the sun during day, and collect and drip condensed water vapor during the cooler night. In many other species of spurge family, Euphorbiaceae, the stipules are modified into paired stipular spines and the blade develops fully. In Ocotillo, Focuria splendens, the blade falls off and the petiole remains as a spine. Many desert plants such as lithops and aloe develop succulent leaves for water storage. The most common form of storage leaves are the succulent leaf base of underground bulbs, example tulip, that serve as either water or food storage organ for both. Many non-parasitic plants are growth on the same surface of plant, such as some of the bromeliads absorb water through specialized hair on the surface of their leaves. In water hyacinth, swollen petioles keep the plant afloat. Leaves or leaf part may be modified to provide support. Tendrils and hooks are the most common of these modifications. In the flame lily, the leaf tip of the blade elongates into a tendril and twines around the other plant for support. In the garden pea, the terminal leaflet of the compound leaf develops as a tendril. In Nasturtium and clematis, the petiole coils around other plants for support. In Cadbrier, the stipules function as tendrils. Many monocotyledons have sheathing leaf base that are concentrically arranged and form a pseudo-trunk, as in banana. In many epiphyte bromeliads and pseudotrunk also function as water reservoir. Carnivorous plants use their highly modified leaves to attract and trap insects. Gland in the leaf secretes enzyme that digest the captured insect, and the leaves then absorb the nitrogenous compound and other products of the digestion. Plants that use insects as a nitrogen source tend to grow in nitrogen deficient soil. Senescence. Leaves are essentially short-lived structure. Even when they persist of 2 or 3 years as a coniferous and broad-leaved evergreens, they make little contribution to the plant after the first year. The fall of leaves, whether in the first autumn in most deciduous trees or after several years in evergreens, result from the formation of a weak zone. The abscission layer at the base of the petiole abscission layer may also form when leaves are seriously damaged by insect, disease or drought. As a result, a zone of cells across the petiole becomes softened until the leaves fall. A healing layer then forms on the stem and closes the wound, leaving the leaf scarred, a prominent feature in many winter twigs and an aid in identification. In perennial plants, leaf fall is usually associated with approaching winter dormancy. In many trees, leaf senescence is brought about by declining day length and falling temperature towards the end of the growing season. Chlorophyll production in deciduous plants slows as the days get shorter and cooler, and eventually the pigment is broken down completely. Yellow and some orange pigments called carotenoids become more conspicuous, and in some species, anthocyanin pigments accumulate. Tannins gives oak leaf and certain other plants their dull brown color. These changes in leaf pigment are responsible for the autumn colors of leaves. There are some indications that day length may control leaf senescence in deciduous trees through its effect on hormone metabolism. Both gibberellin and auxins have been shown to retard leaf fall and to preserve the greenness of the leaf under a short day condition of autumn. Thank you so much. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel, and for other videos please click on the icons which are appearing on your screen. Thank you so much.